Today on V8 Extra, it's the Phillip Island 300 in the rear view mirror. Close racing, great passing, contact, and aggro. We're at home with Will Davison. Mark Larkham introduces a new team for 2013. And we meet series newcomer Frenchman Alex Prema. That's all ahead on V8 Extra.
Yes, hi everybody. Welcome again to V8 Extra. Great to have your company today. And we've got a great big show lined up, including the arrival very shortly of Mark Skafe. Skafey's going to join us in just a tick. Well, I feel like I'm on repeat cycle at the moment, saying the same thing after every race meeting. Great racing. We've got a championship seesaw battle going on, a bit of biff and lots of aggro.
It's one of the most spectacular circuits. And now they let fly.
Oh, he's still arm wrestling that thing.
Damage to the rear of car 33.
Garth escorts him into the grass.
Oh, look at that. They can't get the fuel in.
Lowndes has got into the back of Bright. They just touched him. They're changing positions here. This is very, very fast. Great job.
We got a safety car.
Oh, he's gone!
Oh, that's amazing. Now Davison gets a big clip.
Now he's going to get hit. He's going to get hit.
That's nasty.
Two series leaders out of the race, gone.
Mark Winterbottom's the last man standing.
Watch the start, and it's stopped cold.
So Reynolds leads Davison. Will Davison takes a big dive down at turn one.
But he's holding him up, mate. Have a look at this. Oh, look at that. He takes it from him.
Around to Siberia. One tap, two taps.
Oh, trouble. Prema's involved. He has got pace. He is, and he does. Straight down there. Well done, Jason Bright. Didn't try to fight. He's held his ground very well around Siberia.
Craig Lowndes threw everything at him in those dying laps. But yet again, Will Davison has shown that he can hold off the very best.
So the championship scenario after the Phillip Island 300, just 10 points is the margin at the moment in favour, as you can see, of Will Davison. Ford Performance Racing 1 and 3. We've got both the Team Vodafone cars in there as well in second and fourth. All three of the Stone Brothers racing cars inside the top 10. Now, we also like to clean up issues that have arisen after race 11, after our final race of the day on V8 Extra. And for this little indiscretion down at turn 4 on Sunday, Steve Owen on Alex Prema, and Steve drops one spot in the championship and was docked 25 points for his trouble. Caused a bit of strife. Now, it's my pleasure to welcome to the studio the man who helps us out, of course, on race weekends, also the Commissioner. Nice to have you, Skafey. You haven't been in here since we've tarted it up.
I know, it looks very, very good, doesn't it? It looks very good.
It lived up to the promise last weekend at Phillip Island. Great race.
Well, I mean, you and I thought at the start when they changed the format that it was going to produce great racing, and we didn't expect the lunacy that we saw. I mean, it was very, very intense. Clearly FPR and XTRA are having a real battle. The pressure that's on FPR to stay where they are, I mean, probably a few years of underperformance has got them to a stage where they are the class act. And I thought really some of the racing on the weekend was as good as I've seen. I mean, we've had very, very good quality racing so far this year.
And we said it on Sunday morning at the beginning of our telecast that it's just creeping into the edge of spiteful now. We're about this far away from it going over the top, and in fact you could possibly argue that we crossed the line on a couple of occasions.
Oh, look, no doubt. I mean, a couple of those things on the weekend. We saw the one with Will Davison and Van Gisbergen, and we just saw in the highlights through turn 1, and then the big incident we saw at turn 4 that has championship changing implications, those sorts of moves.
A couple of interesting things going on in Holden Land at the moment, because Techno Autosports with those 888 built cars are going brilliantly well. Brad Jones Racing and Jason Bright rip a result for Team BOC, but interesting that Kelly Racing, Jack Daniels and also the Holden Racing team just couldn't find their mojo at all.
They were miles away, weren't they? I mean, on the weekend they'd be very, very disappointed with where they were and the way it looked after the tyres, because it's not just about speed, it's about looking after the tyres for those sorts of races.
All right, well, coming up very shortly, we're going to catch up with Will Davison the day after the party, and as we go to the break, check out Jamie Whincup on Saturday. We'll go on board the Team Vodafone car and he only just gets away.
So it's only early days, but the Blue Oval boys are having a ball. Ford Performance Racing are really hot right now. This could be a championship year for Will Davison.
This is an extraordinary drive for Will Davison. You're a legend. Well done.
He'll take his 6th race win of the season.
It's been a real roller coaster. Fortunately, it's been more of a positive than a negative story, but as you heard Matty say, there's 6 race wins, 9 in total for Ford Performance Racing this year, Scafie, but a hallmark of the recent couple of race meetings for Will is a disaster Saturday, followed by a big comeback on the Sunday.
Yeah, weird, isn't it? I mean, those sorts of days, they have a big impact on your series, and the way that he's fought back, I've been very impressed with his drives. You said he was a legend in Perth, and it was a great drive to hold them off. And then I thought the drive against Lowndes and Phillip Island was one of his best drives. Aaron Noonan caught up with him earlier this week.
Will, thanks for having us over at home. Welcome to V8 Extra. I want to talk to you about Saturday at Phillip Island. Talk me through your day, because the finger was pointed at you both in the pit lane and in the paddock, and also via social media, for you being the cause of what unfolded late in that race.
Social media is a pretty powerful thing now, and yeah, I think it can be used well and it can be abused, and you know, we're all humans out there, and we all have emotions. So when you're out there, you know, putting your life on the line and literally giving it your all, you know, you're just doing your best every time you get in the car. You want to be clean, you want to be respected as a fair racer, and when nasty accidents happen like that, you know, all the fun goes out the window. You realise someone could be seriously injured, and particularly when it's a close friend of yours who happens to be a great rival as well that you crash into. Yeah, you certainly don't appreciate, particularly when you don't really believe you were entirely at fault. You certainly didn't take your mate out on purpose, and when you get labelled as dirty or you know, taking them out on purpose or something like that, yeah, you certainly don't appreciate it, and it's hard not to take it to heart.
Does it feel like this championship fight between FPR and Team Vodafone is almost on the brink of getting pretty nasty? We saw them lodge 2 protests against your team from the Sunday race, with Mark Winterbottom in the pit lane and you for allegedly brake testing Jamie Whincup. Is this championship getting to boiling point nearly?
It's so early. We're a third of the way through the championship, and you know, clearly it's proving to be a great battle, and I think it's going to continue all year. It's disappointing, but I think it's all part of the mind games going on right now, and all part of the frustrations. You know, a certain team being very used to dominating, and you know, and we're taking it to them. I think they respect the competition. It's going to be an interesting year if it continues like this. Yeah, it's good fun. It's sport. It's competition, and there's a lot on the line.
You're in a strange position. You're fighting against your best mate. You're also fighting against your teammate. We couldn't help but notice the touch with Mark Winterbottom in the Saturday race. Fair point, fair call.
He had a quicker car, as he said at the time, and I was aware of that. You know, I was trying to drive my own race. You're never going to make it abnormally difficult for your teammate. You know, you've got to represent your team and do it well. You know, I was trying to get away from him. I couldn't. You know, so I was ready for him to have a go, and I wasn't going to argue the matter. Yeah, getting bumped wide, yeah, I don't think it's totally necessary, but it was a very minor touch, no major drama.
You're off to the Indy 500. Your old mate Ryan Briscoe's on pole position. Will Power's not too far away. This is something pretty special. You might just see a bit of history created.
Yeah, I've always dreamed of going to the Indy 500. I've been fascinated by the enormity of the race, particularly now having you know, Will as a good friend, and Ryan competing over there for years. You know, Mike Conway, a good mate of mine, and even my cousin James been racing over there for years. You hear stories of that race, and I don't think we appreciate probably how big it is here in Australia. You know, we've got Bathurst, which is amazing, but 300,000 on race day. It would be something else. It'd be something special, and I had a small break in the calendar. I thought it's now or never, and yeah, I'm jumping on the big bird. I'm going to get over there and cheer some mates on. We've got an Aussie on pole, Will on 5th. You know, there's probably no greater chance for an Australian to win that race, so wouldn't it be cool to be there to see that?
Will, thanks for the chat. Thanks for having us over. Enjoy the 500, and we'll see you at Hidden Valley.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
How's Wilbur? We're stuck here in the studio working this weekend. He's off at Gasoline Alley, but it's not a bad thing to do to go and have a bit of a reset, catch up with some mates. Plenty of our mates over there at Indy this weekend doing very well.
Well, you know, Ryan Briscoe to be on pole position is fantastic, isn't it? And Will Power, obviously, they'll be very competitive. Probably a pretty good thing for him, really, Crompo. I mean, at the end of the day, actually go and have some fun, a bit refreshing, have a bit of a cruise, watch some other blokes compete for a change.
That's right. Yeah, look at those fellas stress. And it's a reminder of some of the heroes that we'll see later in the year. The Armour All Gold Coast 600, of course, coming up 2 weeks after the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst 1000. All right. right, it's time to take a break. Coming up after the break, a new team is born, and we'll take you to the break with Mark Winterbottom allegedly holding up everybody in pit lane. They looked at it afterwards, no case to answer. Check this out.
Davison, race leaders in. Winterbottom, Reynolds, Whincup, Van Gisbergen, Lowndes, Coulthard. But he's holding them up, mate, because he's trying to give himself room so he doesn't have to stack for as long.
Deliberately slowing down and then down to 29 k's in pit lane as well. So screwed over most of pit lane.
Oh, it's stalled! Lowndes is almost gone. He's had to use the auto start to get it going, Lowndes.
Today we're inside the Team BOC garage. Jason Bright's Holden Commodore, and our Big Pond Sport email question of the week from Victor Doe in New South Wales. And Victor wants to know, how come when you're seeing V8 supercars stalling in the pit lane, they're not using anti-stall like we see in Formula One? Well, we don't have anti-stall in this category, Victor. What we do have, though, is a thing called auto start. There is a distinction. Let me show you how it works. First of all, I'll just draw your attention to the boxes on the left-hand side of the car where the passenger's feet would normally be. They are programmable software boxes, basically the ECUs or engine control units. I'm not going to bore you with how the clock works, I'm just going to simply tell you the time. So just understand that you can tweak these things. Now you know that when the drivers activate the pit lane speed limiter in these cars, they're good for 40 kilometres an hour. And in that condition, the engine and the ECU is basically running on revs, and it's programmed to take some spark out of the engine, and the driver effectively controls the amount of fuel that goes in with the throttle pedal. Bottom line to that story, the cars are really easy to stall. They've got to drive them along with very, very low throttle percentage, or you can put the fire out. Now have a look at some of the dramas earlier in the year. On V8 Extra, and we were covering Garth Tander. Remember all the pit lane stalls and dramas with his car. And then down in Tassie, Mark Winterbottom with a problem with the Ford Performance Racing car. It's very, very easy to stop these race cars. So, a simple solution, remember programmable software. So, how do we get around it? Think of the clutch pedal and the accelerator pedal as nothing more than switches. Car stalls, what does the driver do? Like the solo man, slam them down fast. Slam down both the clutch and the accelerator, and the car fires back to life. It's a quick, simple and efficient way of getting the car back on the racetrack.
Welcome back to V8 Extra. Well explained, Crompo. That was very, very good.
You like that,
was
did you?
very technical.
That's
very
me in the
technical.
field. It's scary.
It was very good. They are very hard to start. I mean, the cars traditionally, it doesn't matter what diff ratio, they're very hard to make them walk away. We saw in that little package there about how much difficulty they had even coming out of the pits. And a little bit of it, as you said, was programmable, which means that the cars are more like Xbox machines than they are real cars.
All right, some big news around earlier this week as well. To find out about a new team for 2013, here's Mark Larkham.
So, Charlie, for the benefit of people at home, they may not understand, you actually need a licence agreement to be able to compete in V8 supercars. You can't just come along and do it. How have you organised yourself there?
Okay, as you know, I've had the licence lease at DJR for 2 years, and our contract ends at the end of 2012. So what I'm going to do is take the licence from there and put it in at FPR, and I'm doing a services agreement there, and they will run my whole team for me. So what I eventually do is bring my driver, my sponsors, and they run the whole program, the same as Rod Nash.
But let's get into some of the meaty stuff, mate. Let's get into some of the tougher questions. For example, how long is the deal?
Oh, like it's a multi-year deal. It's for 3 years minimum.
Very nearly said 3 then, Charlie.
Well,
let's call that multi-year. That'll do. That's
multi-year,
fine. We'll run with
yeah. Yeah, so it's a multi-year deal.
Okay, and it'll be based in their operation. Tell me about sponsorship. Have you got that in place yet, or is it going to be a new team, or is it going to be something we haven't seen before, something new?
I'm going through all the partners at the moment, Lyco, and there's some old ones, there's some new ones out there, and some interesting partners that want to come on board. It's great.
Okay, mate. Now the big ticket item, and what everyone wants to talk about, me included, is drivers. So I want to throw a few names out. Before I do, I mean, what's the vibe at the moment? I assume you're fielding quite a few phone calls, because this is going to be a good seat.
It is. Look, Tim and I have discussed it, and it's going to be one of the best seats in 2013, we think. So there's a long list of people already, and some juniors, some seniors, some current guys, some internationals, and some very interesting names and very interesting phone calls.
Casey Stoner, mate, another name that's cropped up in the press recently, and no one loves Casey more than I do, but gee, it's a big, big ask to throw a guy like him into a V8 supercar at this level and expect a result first time up.
For sure. Look, it'd be a coup for the sport if someone grabs him and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, no, it'd be great. But look, I haven't spoken, and I'm sure he's going to be linked with 888 anyway, whatever he does.
So the question on everyone's lips, Charlie, it's a bit of an obvious one. You had a great relationship with James Courtney, very special. You loved him a lot, it worked well. Not going so well at HRT, surely you would welcome him with open arms.
Look, James and I are getting on well now, so that's all good. As far as I know, he's still got a contract to the end of 2013, so it should be out of the picture. Sure, he can drive, so what can I say? I don't know. We'll look at that if it comes up. I don't know, though.
Well said, mate. Thanks, Charlie.
All right, thanks, Larko.
Who's Charlie going to stick in the driver's seat? An interesting question to contemplate. We'll take a break now on V8 Extra. After the break, we catch up with fast Frenchman Alex Premat. But our next event, it's going to be the Sky City Triple Crown up in Darwin. Get up there if you've never been to Darwin. Break out the shorts and the sunblock. It's a ripper. Here's a preview of what's to come.
Premat with damage to the rear of car 33.
It's always difficult when you're back around 20th. Oh, trouble, Premat's involved. And we've got a fire here.
It's been a pretty tough initiation into V8 supercars for Frenchman Alex Premat, but make no mistake, this guy's got credentials, Scafey, as you know. Teammate to Rosberg, teammate to Hamilton, third in GP2. One step away from Formula One, Audi sports cars. He's done a lot.
Oh, look, he's a very, very good driver. I mean, he's world class. Richard Holway, my old engineer at HRT, rates him very, very highly. And the way he drove the other day in the wet, I thought was really, really good. He's way too far back. He's too much, caught up with the goons, and that's what happens when that happens. He's just back there in Crashville. Aaron Noonan thought he was going to have a cruisy week this week, and he caught up with Alex Premat through the week.
Alex, thanks for taking some time to join us on V8 Extra. It's been something of a baptism of fire for you in V8 supercars. Is this a complete culture shock from what you expected?
Yeah, well, I'm really happy to be here. It's completely different than Europe, but I'm really happy to have this move because it's a big challenge for me and for the team as well.
Did you have to convince your family to come to Australia when you told your wife what you were doing?
Not my wife, but my father and my mother, they were a bit scared. I said, hey, come on, where are you going? You are going really far. And I said, no, don't worry, we have Skype, we have a lot of things that we could communicate. But I think with my wife was quite clear and quite easy because we have two kids. I have two daughters, and she was happy to come to Australia to get part of this new challenge.
Our V8 supercar fans may know your name from some of the things you've done in years gone by, but not many will know that you were in GP2, the feeder for Formula One. You were teammates with Nico Rosberg and also with Lewis Hamilton, who we know have gone on to great things in Formula One. Do you get frustrated when you see where their careers have gone and what they've been able to achieve?
No, of course not. I cannot be frustrated about what they did and where I am, because I think where I am, I'm really happy to be where I am. I got my chance to drive a Formula One first, so it was an amazing day for me in Shanghai and in Silverstone, so I just enjoyed this moment. And then after that I went to Audi. I had a factory contract with Audi for Le Mans and DTM, so it was a really good challenge, and now I am here really far from Europe doing V8 supercar, so I'm really happy what I'm doing right now. I'm definitely not frustrated where I could have been, for example, because definitely what they are doing in Formula One is quite impressive, but I'm really happy to be here.
You spent 4 years with Audi in the DTM and in Le Mans Series sports cars and the like, and generally with Audi, drivers tend to stay there for very long periods of time, but you only stayed there for 4 years. I need to ask you this, is it true that you ran a marathon in New York when you're supposed to be recovering from a crash?
Yeah, well, that's true that after my crash in Adria, 1 week after I went to the Marathon of New York because I was involved on this because some friends bring me to this new challenge. And yeah, for running, I think it was a misunderstanding for many people in Audi, and then they just kicked me out from the Audi Sport family. But I think they find a pretext to put me out of Audi. So definitely, I think I was not the only one driver who just spent 4 years with them. I think more a lot of drivers did that. But I'm really happy to be finished with Audi because last year I had a good season as well in sport car, and then now I'm here. So I think it's a good challenge to bounce back. Yeah.
Hey, you've done the big classic races, you've done Le Mans, you've won the Macau Grand Prix, which is a phenomenal event that doesn't perhaps have as much coverage here in Australia. Have you already started to think about Bathurst in October?
Yeah, of course, Bathurst, it's a great event. I think it's one of the most of Australia. It's like maybe the 24 Hours of Nordschleife. What I did last year, I won as well on the Peugeot RCZ. And yeah, definitely I would like really to put Bathurst in my CV because it's a really great event.
We have a race on the Gold Coast in October. Have you made any phone calls to any mates to bring them out to be your co-driver for that weekend?
Not yet, but I talked already with Gary, and don't worry, we will have a really good, strong teammate.
Well, Alex, thanks very much for your time on V8 Extra. Great to catch up, and all the best for the rest of the championship.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Alex Premier there with Aaron Noonan. Unfortunately, Scapey, we're out of time, but that bloke is a good operator.
He's a very good operator, and he will get better. I mean, he needs to come forward in the field and he'll be okay.
All right, well, our next big gig in the V8 Supercars Championship, we're off to Darwin, up to the top end. It's going to be a beauty. Mixed tyre round, softs and hards, June 15 to 17. 2 big races, plus the shootout. Can't wait to get to the top end. Our next V8 Extra episode, well, we're at Russell Ingall's house next week for a feature about Rusty. He's passing a few milestones. Looking forward to that one. Thanks for your company today. Look forward to catching up with you again next weekend. Bye for now.